ratchets leads to more closed caskets, more eulogies by more black pastors, more mourning, more anger than more blasting, more black boys trapped in maxes. Listen, more ratchets leads to more closed caskets, more eulogies by more black pastors.
Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the Second Circuit. In this episode, we'll delve into a topic that is a hot button at the moment. It is an in vogue issue, but it is the issue that is near and dear to our very beings. First and foremost, we want to welcome you, Brother Chy-My, Brother Dex. We thank you and appreciate you for all the energy that we received from prior podcasts. We are getting all your messages, all your emails, all your reach outs and DM, social networks. We're grateful. We're grateful for the energy, and we're taking heed too. We want you to know that we are heeding it. Today's topic will be justice reform. And to illustrate justice reform in a tangible sense, something that you can feel, not just a photo op, not just because it's a hot, vogue topic, we'll illustrate it in a tangible sense. And to do so, we'll touch on a landmark case of the people of the state of New York versus Myron Dukes. You may ask why that case in particular may be valid to justice reform, in particular juvenile justice reform. The Myron Dukes of America, the young justices of America, who you'll get familiar with, are the case studies for justice reform, particularly juvenile justice reform. So that's today's topic, and we're going to delve deep into it. We're going to peel back many, many layers. So first and foremost, I'd like to introduce you to someone who I am very blessed, esteemed to call my comrade. I believe my perspective on the people of the state of New York versus Myron Dukes is unique because for a portion of that time, I was physically with him. Attica, Sing Sing, Rikers Island, these places that a lot of people hear of in their favorite rap song were our reality. So to have that perspective of that landmark case, being from here, having a bond with him, and then seeing firsthand how that resonated on that side of the wall. It's a different ball game. Salute to Big Chester, salute to Carl Robbins, salute to NY, heavy salute to NY, salute to all the prison industrial complexes on our side. But on that side, especially us being on foreign land, a man doing 25 years, my perspective is, knowing what I did there, a man doing 25 years on that side, it is kind of unfathomable for a person who's actually walked it. So I could imagine how the average civilian or even the average jail-seeing individual from this side could miss some things in translation and not understand the poignancy, the significance, and why indeed the people of the state of New York versus Myron Dukes is so poignant. It's vogue justice reform. We hear about the Khalif Browder, salute to him. We hear his blessings to his family. We hear about the Central Park Five, blessings to those individuals and their families. So they're in vogue now. So other people latch to that energy, whether it be warranted or authentic or not. But the case study is sitting right here. The case study is sitting right here. This isn't a movie when we talk about 16 and 17-year-olds in places like C-74 and being sentenced to these life sentences. That's stuff of legend. That's stuff of Lifetime movies, you know. But we have it sitting here. It's the case study. So we're going to delve into that. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce the case study, Myron Dukes.
Thank you, brother. Like I told y'all in the first episode, I'm pretty much fresh to the free world after spending 25 years in New York State Prison. I was released in October of 2016. So, re-entering the world, it's new, it's exciting, it's fun, I love being free. But as my co-host said, the justice reform movement right now is definitely popular. It's it's relevant, and it's necessary. So what we want to do is we want to bring forth what we have to offer to the justice reform movement. So being that he spoke about my case, what I want to say is that as a 17-year-old, you're not fully developed. So that's the statement and declaration we want to make. As a 16 and 17-year-old individual in any place, especially the United States, you're not grown. So in New York State, they had a practice where they automatically prosecuted 16 and 17-year-olds as adults. So as soon as you get arrested, you're automatically prosecuted as an adult. The irony in that is the fact that at 16 and 17, as a free teenager, you're not allowed to buy alcohol, smoke cigarettes, can't even consent to sex. So vote. Now I was gonna get to that. Now, the most important constitutional right that we have as Americans is our right to vote. I mean, no matter who you are, at 18, you have that right. So, through all my, legal plights, that's the argument I developed, and that's the argument that eventually set me free. So, the system didn't want to let me go. After 24 years and 8 months, the system still wanted to keep me. And it was through a court decision I was released. And
Excuse me, may I interject to put something in perspective for the viewing audience? Khalif Browder, again, we're talking about vote things, and Khalif Browder is a spirit that everyone can resonate with, because a lot of people in position who have true love for the culture, such as like Rock Nation and people like that have real love, authenticity in the culture, step to the forefront with it. So it gained a lot of steam, as it should. So I say that to say this. Khalif Browder spent 2 years in solitary, 3 years in solitary confinement.
I think 3 years on Rikers Island.
If I may, Myron Dukes, how many years did Myron Dukes spend in solitary confinement combined?
Combined about...
Places like, and you can Google places like Southport, places in like the SHU boxes, long-term boxes, and things of that nature. How many years combined during your stretch did you spend in that type of confinement, solitary?
About 12 years solitary confinement. So out of the 24 years and 8 months I spent in prison, 12 years was solitary confinement. So that means that for 23 hours of the day, you're locked in a cell. You can't move. Showers maybe 3 times a week. Bottom line is inhumane. I don't even want to relive that. So one of the things we are here to also address is the fact that, certain practices that are happening right now, they must stop. It's not, wait for legislation and wait for people to get comfortable enough to change it. We want to address certain things right now. So it's just ironic that after, numerous people spent hundreds, combined hundreds of years in solitary, that now people are waking up and saying that it's inhumane, it's torture and all that. It is, but it's still in practice. So, yes, I spent a lot of time in SHU. I don't like it. It's not for humans, and it needs to stop. So wherever it's happening right now in the United States, Second Circuit sends a message to all our viewers that solitary confinement, no matter how you try to justify it, it's not right. So there are different ways that, we could address whatever we need to address, but just trying to lock a human being in a cage, it's not right. So I'm here to challenge anybody that wants to, and we have an email at Second Circuit. No, it's Second Circuit Podcast at gmail.com. So that's our email. So if you have anything that you want to address, challenge, or present, feel free. But I'm telling y'all, I do not agree with that practice. And
if I may, I concur. It's inhumane, and that's the word that I wanted to hinge on, that the brother hit out the park. Inhumane. If you put an animal in a situation, certain conditions, you could actually be pressed with criminal charges. Yet you can place a child who also, as in his intro, he so eloquently touched on, if you place a child in certain environments, he's undeveloped still. You know, his mind, his actions, his behaviors, his moral fabric, none of that is caught up with the consequences in which you're enduring on him. You know, there's no compassion or empathy for the age, and you have to have that when you're dealing with such dire consequences. So I concur. It's inhumane to place a person in a 23-1 situation, and this has become the norm. So what has to happen, and what is happening, and I'm okay with it, is it becomes vogue. What happens is you have people who have large platforms who may have the desire and the natural aptitude to shine light on the situation, or they may be doing it to sell a new record. I'm okay with either one as long as the message gets there. Because if the public knew the basic necessities that were withheld and the basic human liberties that were fringed upon, just the basic ones in places that most of us have traveled, if the public really knew that, I firmly believe that some of these practices would come to a screeching halt. But because the public views it as some type of sci-fi novel or what have you, they really have no tangible sense of it. Thus, the reason the Second Circuit is here to bring forth truth, to bring forth enlightenment, to bring forth understanding, to shed, to have that empathy for a demographic that only we can, to share information, to be your voice, you know, for many things. And that's the reason for the Second Circuit of Life Appeals.
I want to add that part of how I survived in solitary is reading. So, you know, as we spoke, we got a lot of history, and part of our history is that we were educated at a magnet school, High Horizon Magnet School. You know, so getting that education and, you know, developing certain skills that allowed me to survive in an environment where a lot of people would, you know, lose it. So I read a lot of books, hundreds, thousands of magazines, thousands of newspapers. So reading kept me alive. Reading, it kept my creative spirit going, and it allowed me to have hope that I would one day get free. So reading is very, very important. And getting back to the justice reform movement, I would like to declare what I feel the justice reform movement is about. Justice reform movement to me is addressing anything within what we call the criminal justice system, addressing it immediately and correcting it immediately. So anything that deals with initially focusing on locking an individual up, any human being, you know, unless they're heinous acts, you know, heinous crimes and things like that, you know, we understand without law there is no order. So in any civilized society there will be prisons, but the mindset at one time in this country was to just lock people up. So we want to shift that mindset and educate, teach people, help people. Don't just focus on locking them away. So I think justice reform is challenging the system and the mindset that you should just incarcerate a human being first.
This is why I utilized in the term of endearment to him that he's the case study. Because again, my perspective is unique because I travel with him. I don't have my understanding of what the New York State Department correction system is from a rap song. I don't. And unfortunately, most around the world are intrigued by that, by Rikers Island, by Attica, by Sing Sing, these places that we had to unfortunately call home. They're intrigued by that because of some cute, cozy Hollywood, you know, studio spin that's put on places that are really, really, really places of torment, places of mental torment, places of spiritual debilitation, places of just where you're warehoused and placed in elements that are definitely conducive to breaking a man. And I'm not just talking about prison, I'm talking about these certain places. So when I take that, couple it with the knowledge of 25 years, it's really unfathomable to me. And again, I was in the attic yard with him. I was in Sing Sing with him. So I think about how the average person looks at a 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid from Bridgeport, Connecticut, who's sent to foreign land to Rikers Island, boom, and just dropped in. So you have so many dynamics that lace with, and that's where the young justices of the world of America come into play at. There are many different layers to that. You have foreign land, you have a child who overnight is forced to be an adult. You have a child who's forced into a playing arena with all adults. You have resources that are lacked for that child, so now it's unfair circumstances set up from the gate. You have a lost neglect of that child, i.e., Khalif Browder and the Myron Deuces of the world, who they get placed in the system, and then for years and years they toil because the public just doesn't know. This is an everyday occurrence, and there are many factors, if I may, that factor into it. So we want to delve into that and curve back some of those layers.
I do want to add that Governor Cuomo, who is the governor of the state of New York, in 2017, he passed legislation, he signed legislation that identified 16 and 17-year-olds as juveniles. So prior to that, in New York, 16 and 17-year-olds were viewed as adults. So, I mean, as soon as you committed a criminal act or were accused of committing a criminal act, then automatically you were prosecuted through the criminal justice system as an adult. Now, Cuomo passing that legislation was important because it identified the fact that for so many years New York had illegal practices. So generations of teenagers was lost with that stigma of a felony. So, you know, it's a lot of heavy things that we want to talk about. You know, I don't like to talk about prison too much because I lived it. You know, I lived a hard prison life. I've never been in honor block. I've never had no type of, you know, favor in prison. I was always identified as like a defiant. So, you know, I didn't have an easy prison bit. What I do appreciate is the fact that there is attention to the system right now. And I appreciate the director, Ava DuVernay, and her new project, When They See Us. I appreciate how the fact, you know, she brought a story to the world that was pretty much a secret. So a lot of people have been reaching out and asking me about Attica because I was in Attica, like he said, he was in Attica. And we want to also tell the world that Attica is a nasty place. It's a nasty prison. And we appreciate how she delivered that.
If I may, me and bro, we like Styles and SP, man, or we like Run and DMC. We usually in sync. I will tell you that one thing that we kind of stand on a different balance on is, I believe he likes to downplay. He does like to downplay certain experiences of certain aspects of that prison industrial complex experience that we share. He does. Me, on the other hand, I get the bullhorn and turn my mic up, because I firmly believe in grace and mercy, as we both do. I firmly believe that being tested in a certain fire and being pulled out of certain fates and coming out on the other side as a refined product, I think that the only people who can speak to certain issues are those who've actually endured it. And they're not many. It warrants a different type of respect. It garners a different type of ear from the demographic you're trying to touch when you actually walk through that fire that you're discussing. So I'd like to give up the experiences. There's nothing glorifying about it, because I'm the first to tell you that it's dead space. It's not. But on the flip side, as Malcolm did say, and I can't get it verbatim, I don't want to chop it up, but he did say that next to college, prison is the best space for a man to be learned, because you have time if you're going to put forth the energy. So that's why, as the brother touched on, pop culture, a lot of reading, a lot of material, whether it's German cookbooks, whether it's mathematics, whether it's the Torah, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Quran, whether it's Supreme Math, whether it's a Chinese newspaper, whether it's the sports section, whether it's the police spotter, whether it's Nietzsche, whether it's Terry Woods, whatever it is. You dig what I'm saying? You consume it because you have the time to do so, you have the wherewithal to do so, and then it applies. You resonate it. A lot of people at home are in the rat race. They don't have the time to sit down with a good book, meditate, take a moment, tranquility. That shows in your walk because you resonate what you consume. So, justice reform, Young Justice is an individual who resonates in every single urban hood in America. His name is Young Justice, and you'll get to know him. I am Young Justice. Chy is Young Justice, and there are Young Justices today. And when individuals who have a platform, and thank God for ours, that have walked it and utilize that platform to speak of the Young Justices, then we won't have any more Young Justices. You know, it takes those who've actually, again, been through the fire to talk about what's going on in the fire. You know, so we have to keep that at the forefront. Juvenile justice reform is actually the most prevalent and endeared to us because, again, the babies haven't formulated a mind and formulated a soul yet. So to treat them, lock them away forever, you know, where's the mercy in that, the grace of mercy? Where's the correction? You know, if we're a society, America's the greatest country in the world. We're about that. Second Circuit's about that. This is about the Second Circuit of life appeals, just as Second Circuit Court of Appeals. It's a chance to renew, to bring forth new information of character, new information of fabric, new information of maturity. Why not a second chance for something that occurred when a person was 17? So that's what we're trying to bring to the forefront, the Young Justices of the world. So, after all the experience of the prison industrial complex, going through what you went through, going through what I went through, what do you believe for brothers that are coming home, brothers that are impending release, brothers who have done stretches and they're formulating their plan, getting their action and their agenda plan in order at the moment? In retrospect, having come home, having got some things under your belt, done some things right, made maybe some miscues, what would you tell them as far as reentry? What would be the best plight to give yourself an opportunity at success in reentry?
Firstly, I want to thank a couple of the programs that helped me upon my release. After 24 years and 8 months in prison, I came home to a world that was definitely foreign to me. I didn't know about technology. I didn't know about the subway system. Luckily, I had a daughter who was an adult who welcomed me into her home, and she was my guide. I had the Exodus program in New York City. They helped me with my transition, and I had a great deal of family love and support. So that's what helped me transition. Upon me being transferred back to Bridgeport, Connecticut, I expected more, especially considering that we have a mayor that is a returning citizen. So I'm expecting some type of program or some type of lift, launch, and I didn't find that in the city. So I definitely have an issue with that, and I want to address anybody that feels that there are programs out here that are conducive to helping returning citizens. And, let me know. Contact us.
I think that's a very poignant topic, the leadership of the cities and urban cities like this. I think that at the grassroots level, that's where reentry has to be of importance, because it's a simple formula. Most individuals, after going through the plight we went through, like your brother said, 24 years, 8 months, I did myself 16 years in totality. With that said, most of the brothers that are coming home that I know that are solid, have prepared themselves for release, most of them want a better way. And reentry is always a struggle because they come home, they have the right fortitude, they have the right mindset, they have the right intention, and then the opportunity doesn't meet that ambition. And that certain things wear thin. As a grown man who has children, the novelty of you coming home and being home, that wears thin. Your responsibilities and the reality of those begin to take precedent. You know, your daughter want an ice cream cone after school. Something as simple as that. You know, your family who see you as a pillar, always see you as a pillar, but they know the situation. They've been your rock. Now that begins to wear thin. You got to find your way. So individuals who have the right foresight now start to stray because opportunities haven't been met with their ambition, and it's slight to do so. Therefore, the powers that be can empower those who actually have walked it out, or they can make opportunity. And I don't see much of that. I see that's why I think the recidivism, if I may, the recidivism rate, criminology, they can walk out 30 years from now. How many people are going to be sitting in cages? Ology, anything with ology is the study of. How can they accurately do that? Because they put factors into play. Now this is the thing. We don't have to take the blue pill or the red pill. If we, knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe's to say. So I'm not blaming on nobody. We know the traps and crevices, so we just got to find our way to navigate transferable skill sets. But those opportunities have to be in place to make reentry a real thing, not just some because the hottest rapper today is talking about it and at a photo op. You know, although that's cool because however it happens, and I'm all right with that. What?
Oh, you just name it.
Yeah, I'm just saying today it's in vogue. So anybody who, because some of the rappers, if we may, some of the rappers like we looped up. Some of the rappers, that's really their play. That's their passion. You know what I'm saying? Me. But let me take that back because I can't put the two before the one. Let's say whole first. Let's give it how it's supposed to be done properly, law and order. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I actually think he has a lot to do with the cultivation of me because Meek hit it poignantly out the park. You know, he's the one with the reach, with the young demographic. I ain't trying to preach, but I'm the one with the reach. So he's in tune to the fact that justice reform and the Most High may allow him to be young justice as he just came through, so that he can utilize that reach in a proper manner. You know, so
you know, speaking about me being in prison and returning back to society, I definitely have two purposes. One is to try to inform and educate young people and make them aware that serious decision making is important. I mean, conscious decision making is important. And getting them aware at a young age, especially in a city like Bridgeport, is important because it puts them in a position where they don't have to be in prison. They don't have to try to fight to get out. Now, as a returning citizen, like I said, you know, Bridgeport is a special story because we have a mayor, Gannon, who was the mayor of Bridgeport, and then, you know, for some reason he went to prison. I don't know the particulars, you know, I'm just coming home, so I don't really know, but I know from prison, I heard the story that he came home and he became the mayor again. So a story like that gave me hope. Like, you know, we got a mayor that, you know, he's like me. You know, he's reintegrating into society. So, you know, I'm a little upset, you know, with the fact that the city is not progressive in helping returning citizens. But I will say that, you know, we have a lot of people that are interested and involved in making that program or that deficiency better.
I concur. If I may, I believe right now there's an atmospheric shift. The young king, Nipsey Hussle's untimely demise caused and actually spawned part of that. And what I mean by that is it gave a certain demographic an energy, an insight, a will, if you may. One of his favorite verses, as I said prior, was to integrate vertically. That means whatever you're doing, whatever you're in the midst of, take it up. Don't go east-west. Go north-south, as the coach always said. Get to the rack, north-south. Let's get the bucket, you know. And I think that right now, in this moment in time, we have individuals also who have resources coupled with it, who know what's going on, i.e., because some of us walking through time, you know, that are invested. You see a lot of the energy shifting to, and that's why it's become vogue. You know, you have the right people tapping in, and we just have to walk in our purpose. And our purpose is the juvenile reform because it's the baby, it's the wayward demographic, it's the individual that no one can reach. And before the CO or the judge can slam their gavel, if you give them a tangible walk through, they don't have to just watch the Khalif Browder story, all homage to it. They don't have to just watch the Central Park 5, which I implore them to do so because that's just the dynamic jobs you hit out the park. But they have tangible resources that they can tap into. One of my favorite wordsmiths, a gifted lyricist, a visionary, a prophet, a Nipsey walking through time right now. He has a catalog of music that I use for scripture. I did my dirt, so here's my gift. That is that individual who walked through that storm, who've been through that fire and that purity, who've been through C-74, who know what them things is about, who've been in that attic yard, who know what that's about, who really been in them yards when the CO locked the gate, who've been 17 trying to fathom 25 years on the calendar. That's that individual coming full circle refined, and here's the gift. Not so buried treasure.
Yeah, man, you know, after a heavy subject like justice reform and reentry and, you know, getting back into society after long years and hard years in prison, you know, we want to discuss the upcoming special holiday, a special holiday for the both of us. And I'll let you introduce that holiday.
King's Day, aka Father's Day. That's heavy. I'm going to say unequivocally, in a selfish manner, a moment of vanity. That's my favorite holiday. And I couldn't say that prior to that prison industrial complex experience. It was a different stage of development. Again, usually very selfless individuals, but I'm going to be honest with you. On this Father's Day, I'm going to take a moment of vanity and salute self heavy. Because you can't pat a man on the back for what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to provide, he's supposed to protect, he's supposed to nurture, he's supposed to cultivate, he's supposed to do a lot of things, but you can't show appreciation. And in our walk, in our lives, we understand the importance of fatherhood from every level, from what we experience or the lack thereof, from what we haven't been in the past to what we are now, to what we aspire to be. And one precious element we have, the great poet Nas said it, you know, we love our sons and shout the King and shout the Zion, you know, but our daughters, it's different, no less, because those are my heirs. Those are who get to walk me out in the flesh, and there's a special royalty in that. So I recall leaving Attica, and you know, one of the customs of a real right when you leave in the prison system is you leave a reflection with those you call your brothers, not your dudes, but your brothers, because you know your travels you never know. It's really like that. So I remember, and we had daughters at around the same time, slightly different, but around in the same zone. And I remember leaving them a picture of I want to say maybe Destiny was a couple of years old, 4, 5, 6 years, not even 6, 4 or 5. No, she was younger than that part of herself because I'm visualizing the picture. She was younger than that. She was perhaps 3 at the time. It's a picture I received. But I left him a copy and I tagged it up on the back. I remember the sentiments. And the most poignant part of the story, that's a whole nother realm, that's more potent than him and I, was when he came home, he sent me that picture. And not only did he send me the picture back, he sent me a picture of what I wrote on the back. And this was 17 years later, what have you. And in the picture, I remember the prayer was that our daughters got to sit at the round table and zone together. And, you know, they're both in their purpose at the moment, and they're so regal, and they're one and the same, and it's like, this is like heaven on earth for us. And I state this a lot. We both believe in the Most High. There's an energy in this universe. You know, you call him God, you call him Allah, you call him whatever you want to call him. You call him Jehovah. Whatever person label puts on him. If you believe in a unitary God, there's a God. But the Most High to me is God. My higher power is that what conduces me to doing right and keeping me on the right track and what have you. That's my daughters.
Yeah, I got a 26-year-old daughter. Her name is Lanisha Dukes. She has my last name, but you know, a very important part of the story is the fact that my daughter was never raised with me in her life because I was in prison so long. You know, coming home to a daughter that's 23 years old, living on her own, it was amazing. So she was like a teacher in a sense. She taught me about technology. She taught me about bank cards. She taught me about traveling. And that was important. And I advocate to, people that have family members returning, home. Understand that it's difficult coming back into the free world if you've been away a long time. So sometimes it takes a little more understanding, a little more comfort. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that, you should let a person just run, on their own, but I do believe people should be more empathetic.
If I may, one of my favorite scriptures is Hebrews 13:3. Remember the prisoners as if you are with them. And that's one thing that, there are a couple of principles, steel sharp steel. No, one of the precepts I do I pull from you is that you definitely still hold on to a lot of energy from the thing. You definitely reciprocate it. You definitely understand the importance of tapping in to real rights that are still in the struggle. You definitely understand the importance of linking with real rights from the struggle who are out here doing progressive things. That's something that I actually pull from you, because whenever somebody pop up that's giving forth the right energy, there's a link. And that's a necessity, because how do you combat the power structure that's playing unfair if the ones that know the rules and know what it's about and endured it aren't willing to link up and say, let's go. This is our stake in the pie. We are Americans. Mm-hmm. We built this. I'm an American, bro. Mm-hmm. I epitomize the American. You epitomize the American. Young Justice epitomizes an American. We are the epitome of it.
And I want to say that, celebrating Father's Day is a special day, but it's not only about having your own children. Sometimes, I'm seeing, coming back to the community, some people don't have fathers, so that day might not be happy or celebratory for them. But I believe that fathers, people that have children, men that have children, they should become a father-like figure inside the community, within the community. Whether it's Father's Day, not Father's Day, but with the mindset that you are a father, just not just to your own children. So I love Father's Day. I love the fact that I can celebrate it with my daughter, but I also look to certain family members that don't have fathers, and I understand that a father is a father to more than just his own child.
That's heavy. I have a 22-year-old daughter, India Dominique Bennett, aka Dami, who is at Johnson C. Wells in Providence, Rhode Island, sports management. I have a soon-to-be 21-year-old daughter, Destiny Asia Bennett, who's at the University of West Virginia at Morgantown. She's basketball team affiliated. She's also sports management. So from my mouth to God's ears, the Bennett Agency, that we try to speak things into existence. Young Fetty, they quote him. And I have Shine, Princess Shine, Skylar Shine Bennett. She'll be the best female basketball player to ever grace the planet. Her mother played D1. You know my story with it. Past high school All-American, so she has the DNA. And I'm like Jake Shuttlesworth with her right now. So Father's Day is very, very prevalent. And Miss Dukes, I don't know if I'm supposed to give up her lane, but trust me, she's working, shaking, and moving. She's at the forefront right now. She's the oldest of our daughters, so she's at the forefront, But her setup game is going to be crazy because she's you. She resonates you. So as Father Day approaches, I like God's alignment. Last we met you as Mother's Day approached. So it's only right, universally right, that we reach you with Father's Day as well. And again, as both being fathers, it is something that is near and dear to us. And I'm going to selfishly say, and I think I can unequivocally speak for us both, it's our favorite holiday. At some point, you got to have a little bit of vanity and selfishness. So Let me ask you first, brother. Father's Day. Um, what does it mean to you? Not only what does it mean to you, but give me your personal. Be transparent with me. Let me into a little bit of your relationship with at Miss Dukes at MISSDUKES.
Well, right now, me and my daughter have a very good relationship. She's an adult. She's 26 years old. She's been on her own for 6 years now. So, graduating from Temple University in Philly with a bachelor's. She got a master's at Fordham University in Manhattan. And right now, she's one of the youngest directors at her job. So, that's...
Okay, if I may, pause one moment. So let me recap real quick. Again, Nisi is at MISSDUKES. So I got a couple questions for you real quick. So just to get this straight, so we check off all boxes. 26 years old, stunning, I'm telling you, stunningly beautiful. So you're telling me undergraduate from Temple. You're telling me graduate. No, not what you're telling me. This is what occurred. Undergraduate from Temple, graduate from Fordham, and can we say where she works? Can we say that, or is that?
Yeah, you can say.
Because I'm proud uncle. Like I'm giddy. Okay.
So right now she's working for the Jewish Board in New York City.
Now let's put that in perspective, right? And let's take there's truth in all jest. So I am proud, but let's take that out the equation and let's just talk about the facts, right? We have a young lady who her roots are from Bridgeport, Connecticut. Let's talk about that. Her roots. We're not talking about what she's involved and spawned to and where the world is going to take her, but her roots are from Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's very important to the story. Temple University, that's heavy. Fordham University, that's heavy. And currently the youngest at her position, director. Let's not belittle the position, director. We're talking about a woman of color. We're talking about a Nubian queen. The Jewish Board. Let's equate it. That's heavy. Let's respect position. And 26 years old. So this is what we're talking about. This is the lineage we're talking about.
But we must not forget the fact that my daughter spent the first 23 years of her life without a father physically present. So she battled a lot. And that's why I love Father's Day and I love celebrating it with her as a free man. But I also, understand that fathers are more than just fathers to their own children. Because I got family members that don't have fathers. So I just, feel the need to be present, a father figure, and celebrate Father's Day and appreciate it.
We share the same story. Destiny being 21 now and India being 22 now, during all that time, when I left, they were 5, 6. Come home, they, college, all this, what have you. So the story is the same. And in that time, you lose a lot. With kids, intimacy is what matters, not what you can give them or what have you. Intimacy, being there, present, that's what matters. So when you lose that, you lose a lot of the rightful respect. If we're keeping it green, you lose a lot of the rightful ties that bind you. And what happens is over time, your presence, your consistency, which is a key word, your consistency earns that back. But what remains the same at all times, even during that 23 years where you're gone, that 24 and 8, even at 16 when I'm gone, what remained the same was the innate qualities. There's some things, when I look at Miss Dukes, when I look at her, she resonates you. Physically, demeanor. When I look at India and Destiny and Shine, they resonate me. It's just no way around that because they're innate qualities that it just is what it is. And now, I say that 2 points I would like to make to piggyback on the brother. One, now is the best holiday, Father's Day. It hasn't always been so. Now in this stage of development. And partly because of the second point, it does take a village and to have others, other energies, other youthful energies that you are responsible for. And if we know our duties as kings, you're responsible for every youthful energy. That's a fact. super happy to be able to come to you with this format. We're thankful for all the feedback we've received. We're going to touch on a lot of things. We thank the sister friend Tanea for her input, her suggestion that two individuals who are the case study for reentry, because she sees our works. She delved that we talk about that, so we have. Keep them coming, as you see. We touch on these things.
And I want to say, you know, in the spirit of Father's Day, that part of my reentry was coming home and watching a lot of my childhood friends, how they conduct themselves as parents. So it was important to me to watch young boys that I knew at 16 and 17 to now be heads of households. And I watched it, and it helped me become a better man in society, because it's just amazing how these men take care of their family, how they love their family. And I know these young teenagers. I knew them as young teenagers, and they were considered like lost causes. So to come back to society and watch that is amazing. It's inspiring. I love the way you conduct yourself as a father, a loving father. It's a few other comrades that, you know, they're good husbands, good fathers, and it actually motivates me. It motivates me to want to be a better man in society. So I thank y'all this Father's Day.
Appreciate, humbly appreciative, very humbly appreciative, very humbly appreciative. One thing I would like to say in parting is that we understand that you can't make up for lost time. We understand that. We understand that. That's part of the reason why we get bare minimum sleep. We function without it. But with that said, in dealing with fatherhood, I've taken the outlook, and the brother as well, is that we pay it forward. It doesn't have to be our child. It is a child. We impart it on whatever youth we come in contact with. We try to leave them in a better space than we found them. Not try, we do. And we understand that it's not about soapbox. It's actually about the works, which is why the young King Nipsey, again, resonated, because it's the works, the tangible things they can see, the transferable skill sets, making you ascend to where they actually want to be, you know?
And to whip everything up, we spoke about justice reform, we spoke about reentry, and we spoke about fathers. We're both fathers, we're both currently on parole, and we're both purposeful out here in the community right now. So any information you want to share with us, feel free, contact us. What's the email?
Second Circuit Podcast at gmail.com.
Instagram?
Second Circuit at Second Circuit.
Get at us. Bury treasure.
You on the block, send me out. Are you